Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on another edition of DAX Machina, this special Saturday edition. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the possibility that certain animals that we've believed to be extinct may not be as extinct as we quite thought so. But before we get into that, there's a couple of things I want to take care of. Steve won't be with us tonight. He's not feeling well, so y'all keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And just wanted to, make a quick announcement. Doc, for those of you who have seen Ranger on the show, they had to have Ranger passed away today. And Doc and his family are dealing with the loss of Ranger, and our hearts and our prayers are with Doc. And we just want him to know how much we love him, and I understand how much he's going to miss Ranger, because I would be in the exact same position if we'd had to lose. Well, I was in the same position when we lost our bull mastiff, so I completely understand what Doc's going through. So, please, y'all keep them in your thoughts and prayers as well. And I want to say a big hearty welcome back to Tombstone, one of our big old moderators out there. Him and his wife Nimza from the chat, they've both been fighting the Black Plague of the 21st century, and it's been kicking their butts. But Tombs is back tonight, so welcome back, brother. We're glad to have you back with us, and we're going to have a good show for you tonight, because not just the regular topic, but some stuff that happened in Noah and I today we're going to talk about. But before we get started on that, Robbie, how the hell are you, brother?
Well, I'm not going to even try to take his line because that's his, but I'm not doing too bad. It's just another lovely day at work, dealing with the normal crazy people we got to deal with.
I totally understand, man. Been there, done that, got a whole closet full of t-shirts. But, you're here with us, so.
Yes, and it was a saving grace today. I was thinking, at least I get to go and be with the normal people tonight.
Normal?
I don't. Have you met us? I don't know if normal really is the right
word
you want.
Have you met 4 or 5 of the people that I dealt with this weekend? Trust me,
Touché.
We're normal.
Touche.
We're freaking Ben Stein in here by comparison.
Well, folks, before we get started on the topic at hand, there's something I wanted to talk about. You guys have noticed that I put out little 1 minute, 45-second to a minute promo videos for the shows, and I put them out on TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and even as YouTube shorts. And we've gone to some pretty wild places around the Ozarks to record those. But today we went out to the McElhaney.
Yeah, McElhaney, yeah.
McElhaney Cemetery. The cemetery was founded in the early 1800s or late 1870s, right after the Civil War. And it's a very old cemetery. It's out off the park, and it's a couple miles actually upstream, because I said sound downstream on the video, but it's actually a couple miles upstream from Wilson's Creek National Battlefield. And Wilson's Creek runs through this area. While Noah and I were shooting this promo video, we had some weird things kept happening. First and foremost, the crazy thing right off the bat was we have these rechargeable batteries that go in my camera. 2 of them died. 2. One might just be weird, but we had 2 of these batteries that normally last about a week in the camera. Both died. And that's
and they
bizarre.
were charged when we went.
Yes, I always charge them before we go out to film. So these batteries were fully charged, and for 2 of them to go completely dead in just a matter of what, we were out there about 45 minutes to an hour. So that was bizarre. But then we get to the cemetery, and we're shooting some images, just taking pictures, and just really enjoying the place, because it's kind of peaceful out there. It's not in town. It's kind of surrounded by woods, and Wilson's Creek runs through it. But we were probably 50, 60 yards from the creek itself. So we shot this little promo video, and we took a bunch of pictures. But while we were there, we kept hearing what sounded like footsteps in the woods around us. And there is a greenways trail that runs through there. But we only saw two groups of people the whole time we were at the cemetery. It was two groups, two couples, and they were on the paved trail. Nobody was in the woods around us. And you could see back in the woods a little ways. I mean, it's not that extremely, not a whole lot of undergrowth. So you could see 20, 30 yards out into the woods. But we didn't see anybody. But we kept hearing footsteps. And then Noah got scratched right on the chest. Is it still red?
No. I checked it like 5 minutes ago. No.
Great big red mark about 3 inches long.
Yeah, it was.
Chest. And I guess it's faded now, but it was bright red when we were at the cemetery.
Yeah, probably about the length of my index finger was how long that was across my chest. While we were there, specifically while I was like setting up the camera to get shots, right? I would hear something walking like right next to me, like crushing the grass, like immediately next to me. And so there was a number of times where while we were there, Dad would see me just like snap over, just like, what the hell, like,
So it got to where Noah, he had my DSLR camera. He had this camera right here. And when he would hear something, he would turn and just take a picture. And I had my cell phone out on camera, and I was snapping pictures. And Blondes and Blues says Noah was at one scratch or more.
Just one. Just one thick one.
And we didn't like it initially. We didn't see anything like when we were looking at the cameras because it's got a little display screen on the back that we can flip and look at the cameras, the pictures after we've taken them. Couldn't see anything on that. Couldn't see anything on my cell phone. So we get in the car. We come home, have some lunch, and start processing the video to upload as a YouTube short and the promo video. And I'm sure you guys have already seen that promo video. So Noah gets that done. And I'm uploading it to social media, and he starts looking at the videos, and not the videos. I'm sorry. He starts looking at the still images, and about every 20 seconds, I would hear him in the other room, "Dad, come in here." And well, I'll let Noah take it from here because he's the one that found it.
Okay. So I don't exactly know how to preface this in any real way, but I'm going to swap over to a different overlay here.
I'm gonna make you the big one, Noah, so you've got the most of the.
Okay. So here in this picture, right? Some of you might see it immediately because it was the first thing my eyes tracked to. But in this picture, it's this nice peaceful cemetery. We didn't notice it while we were there. But if you look right in here, you can see clear definition of a head right here. Head cocked to the
back
side.
out a little bit because you can see the legs too.
You can see the legs right here. Kind of bloomed out pants, if I had to guess, because you can see that like the legs extend further down into the grass. Like you can see where there's like obviously a neck and a shoulder. But in case some of you are like, no, that's just pareidolia, Noah.
I'm a big one going. That could be pareidolia. The first time I saw that, okay, well, odds are good. This could just be pareidolia. But we've got other pictures of it, and it moved.
This was Dad's picture from his phone, right next to me.
Didn't see it at the time on the phone.
Moments after I took that picture. So where you can see it in this picture, right, which is just over this shrub and these 4 gravestones, right? This is the shrub, the 4 gravestones. If you zoom in, now it's over here, peeking out from the bush. Same head shape. A little farther? Same head shape, peeking out from the bush. And if you want to go one step further and go to the second picture that Dad snapped, here's those 4 gravestones again. You zoom in over here. The only thing that was not in the other images is this blob from behind these trees here. I can't really make out what a ton of it is, but you can kind of see the definition of that same head right there. Then, sorry. What?
Yes, I was going to say, this is broad daylight, and that while that looks like it's pretty far with the camera, it's really not that far.
Yeah,
if there had been a person over there, we would have seen them. There was enough of the undergrowth was cleared out. If there had been a person over there, we would have seen them walking. And there's no trail over there. They would have been making a hell of a lot of noise.
Right. In this image, here, let me turn my camera off real fast. In this image, you can even see my shoulder right here. That was me checking the picture that I just got. I was literally looking at the camera. That was moments after my picture.
We just got a super chat from Walathas. Thank you, man. Really appreciate that. Appreciate it very much.
Then, while we were on our way out, we also spotted this creepy church on our way out. Abandoned church.
It's maybe half a mile from where we took the graveyard pictures. This church was probably built in the late 1800s sometime. It's boarded up. It hasn't been an active church in a long time. However, if you look at one of the small windows, there's an old window unit in it. So at some point, it's been used probably within the last 20, 30 years. But the place is basically falling down. Go ahead, Noah.
If you look closer at this window, what I saw in this picture is eye, nose, mouth. A couple of us have seen some different things. However, what Dad and I noticed at first was this little bit down here, which upon my further inspection looks to be a shoulder or something. But like, again, could just be pareidolia until you get to this image, which again could still be pareidolia because we were pretty far away from the church. We were across the intersection. But you get to this picture, that's no longer there. However, you have kind of the silhouette of a man because you can see the shoulder right here, the slight definition of the shoulder, the slight definition of the shoulder.
The head's kind
here.
of like in a profile.
The head here. And well, no, it's not even really a profile. Like you can see like the nose right here. You can see the mouth right here and a tie. Like, I mean, like full blown, like half Windsor knot tie right here in the center. There was somebody in that window. I swear. But those
I don't think there was somebody in that church because show them the front door.
Well, what I'm saying is there was somebody in that church who wasn't in that church. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me pull up that image real fast. I don't want to show my files if I don't have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, here is the raw picture of the front door. Private property. The whole church is kind of shifted on its foundation. You can see some damage over here.
Kind of canted a little bit, like it's leaning.
Yeah, like there's some serious damage to the foundation. This building would probably be condemned if an inspector looked at it. There's a zoomed in picture. Nothing really in the windows at all.
Well, the windows were boarded up from the inside, but there's a padlock on that door.
Yeah, that door was locked from the outside. But here's a picture of the other side, and then if you go back, here's the picture from across the street of the right side perspective from our side, and then this is back in the park. But overall, some very strange pictures we got, as well as some just absolutely wild experiences.
Yeah, it was really kind of a bizarre time. I mean, we kept hearing stuff like walking in the woods, and as we were walking down the trail, there were leaves on the trail. We would be crunching the leaves, and we would hear leaves crunching with our steps, and we would stop, and then we would hear another step or two, and it would stop too.
And it wasn't like we were hearing the echo of our own footsteps, because crunching leaves don't echo unless you were like really stomping them. And even then, it's just like a faint, like kind of like crack in the distance, right? We were several paces away from the leaves at some points, and we would hear the leaves crunch behind us, and me and Dad would both just turn around and snap. Is that a light on just above the door? No, there's no window or anything above the door. I was looking at it and just I couldn't see anything. But oh, you meant like right above the door. I assume that would be like.
I don't think there was any electricity to the place.
I assume that was probably just from the camera. There is a light up there, but it's not causing any like light to be cast on the doorway or anything like that. I assume that's just from the lens on the camera. That would just be kind of like a
Someone
artifact.
asked about the name of the cemetery. I just put it in chat. It's the McElhaney Cemetery.
I think it's
MCILHANEY. I think that's what it says on that plaque. If you can bring up the picture of that plaque, do that.
Yep, that's what I'm doing right now.
All right, I'll put you back up on the big screen.
Okay. So it is the McElhaney. MCELHANEY.
Why is that not letting me swap it around? God dang it.
We just getting all out of order.
Getting crazy. There we go.
Oh, whoops. Yeah. MCELHANEY.
Okay, I was spelling it wrong. It's McElhaney, but it's in IL, it's EL.
But we got some pictures of some gravestones. I did a quick once over on all these images. We'll probably post these images in Discord or maybe on the Patreon or something like that. For those of you that want to take a look at them. I'm not going to edit any of them. I'm not going to go through and tweak shadows or anything like that. But we did get a number of pictures of that cemetery. And like
this one was interesting because he was born in 1798.
Yeah, and died in 1900. Dude was almost 102. But another real cool thing about this image is back here behind this gravestone is actually where the pictures where we saw the shadow, whatever, were pointed. So you can see back into here. There's nobody standing around here. There's nobody here for us to have seen. Like there's a few obvious gravestones, but nothing.
Well, also, zoom back in on that. The tree he would have been behind is right there, and it's on the inside of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever that was would have been in the cemetery with us, and we would have seen him.
And I was constantly making sure there was nobody in our shot, so that way I didn't, accidentally snap a picture of somebody and make them mad or anything like that. Which, I mean, it's Missouri, so I doubt they would. But you never know. Just being proactive about.
And again, we're not saying that, we've got definitive ghost footage or anything like that. We've just got some really bizarre pictures that we can't explain because there was nobody there but us.
And like the rest of these pictures just seemed like some pretty normal nature pictures. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Can you bring up the pictures that I took with the camera? We did find one tree that was broken over, and if it had been like storm damage or wind damage, there would have been other trees around it that were broken. But we've got one healthy tree busted in among a bunch of healthy trees.
So that's this one right here that I have. This one was taken on the DSLR. But then if we go to here, I believe it was, yeah. And then Dad took several pictures of this. It's weird. It was shorter than most of the other trees there, and it was perfectly healthy. I mean, like,
yeah, the wood's not rotten. You could still see where there was sap on the wood. So this was a recent break. And granted, you guys have seen my Facebook page. We had a tree limb come down, took out the weatherhead behind our house. But that was a big branch that was up high. This was a tree with other trees around it that were taller than it, and they were all fine.
It was very, very, very odd.
It was the tree. That tree was a little bit bigger than the diameter of a softball, like maybe the size of a milk saucer, or it wasn't like dinner plate size, but it was probably 8 inches around.
There we go. That's the one.
Oh, what do y'all think of that?
Yeah, it was a bit eye-opening for me.
It was weird.
Because like the entire time we were there, we were hearing stuff and we were like, what the, like, what was that? We never out and out saw anything. You know what I mean?
Other than that mark on your chest.
Yeah. And then to go back and see stuff on the pictures, like the first picture I showed, like my eyes were immediately drawn to that. And I was like, uh-oh.
Little Patty said, did you guys have protection? I've got a spirit bag that William Nighthawk made for me. That generally goes with me to places like that.
Well, when you first sent the pictures, I immediately, when I looked at it, the profile that I saw, I told you, I said it looked like a gargoyle the way it was standing in the middle, the way its head. Because I don't know if that was just like
it may have been the compression from
yeah, or maybe there was a limb behind or something. But just the profile, the way it almost like it went out like this. It just kind of looked like one of those big gargoyles that you see in.
So let me pop that first image back up real fast, actually. So
3D Havoc says, when are you guys going back at night? Well, unfortunately, that place is closed and locked up at dusk. So if we're gonna go back in there after dark, we're gonna have to go in like on foot overland and sneak in.
Or get
not saying we're gonna, not saying we're gonna, but the idea has been forwarded. But tomorrow evening, just before sundown, we're going back down to Moon Valley with my parabolic mic and digital recorders and things like that. We're going to see what we can get down in Moon Valley. So we're going to go down and spend some time in the dark down in Moon Valley and see if we can get some stuff on camera.
So real quick, in this image, I'm just going to kind of zoom in here real fast for you guys. But in this image, right, in the compression over Discord as well as over Messenger, this little offshoot leaf here, this darker leaf you see right here, was blending in pretty hard because of the compression. So it looked like this guy's wearing a hat in the compressed images. But this is the raw file that I have. This is the one that's several hundred meg. But you can see the clear outline of a head in this image. Save for when it gets down to what would be the body. You can see the clear outline of a head here.
So I don't know if we've caught like a shadow form or a ghost, or because there was no person over there. We would have seen a person. So I don't know what we caught on camera. Well, we caught something, and it's kind of weird.
It's definitely very weird.
Did you go where it was? Yes, we did. We immediately went over there, and we were all over that area because it's right next to the grave markers of the founder of the cemetery and his wife.
Yeah, we've just been over there.
Yeah, if you want to bring up those the gravestones for McElhaney's, the ones with the flags.
Yeah, give me just a moment.
Bring those two up.
Here
I'll put
we go.
Back up on the big screen again.
So, okay. This is their gravestones.
Okay, go ahead, Noah.
Okay, I was just saying this is their gravestones. This is slightly to the left of where we saw that figure, and then if you go to this image right here, that figure would have been probably 10 feet behind me and to my right. Like, that's how close it would have been.
Yeah, it would have just been off the right side of this camera over by that other tree. On the inside of the fence.
Let me go forward to where that picture was. Wait, hold on. I'm going the wrong way. It's because I moved it into the other folder, right? Okay. So just off over here. No. Sorry. Sorry. No, it would have been in front of me. Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was further back. Oops. But yeah, here's their gravestones. Here's that figure. Just chilling. So in that other picture that we were just on, which was this guy right here. All right, sorry, this guy right here. It would have been clear as day that there was somebody standing on the other side of these gravestones, but there's nobody there.
Yeah, we walked that whole cemetery. There was nobody in there but us.
Absolutely mind-boggling.
There were only two ways into that cemetery without climbing the fence. There was the gate, and there was a hole that they'd cut in the fence to bring in like lawn mowing equipment, because the cemetery is maintained. I think the Parks Board maintain it because it's in a park. But we didn't see anybody come through the gate or that hole in the fence. And there was no way somebody would have gotten in the cemetery without us seeing them.
And briefly, while I was big mode there, we got a subscriber. It was Mr. Kevin 486. Thank you for the
awesome
subscription, man.
Welcome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Welcome to the DAX Machination.
But yeah, it was just absolutely mind-boggling. I thought it was a little further forward, so it would have been directly across from me while I was taking that picture.
Yeah. So if there had been a person over there, they would have shown up on camera.
Yeah, it's just absolutely nuts, especially because like at that point, the only group that we had seen as far down as we were had long since walked past.
Yeah, the image that shows that little placard that talks about the history of the cemetery, you're basically standing on the trail when you look at that plaque. So they would have been walking behind us on that paved trail. There were no trails in the woods. There was kind of a short trail that ran down next to the cemetery, but it was obviously the groundskeeper used that. But it didn't go all the way around the cemetery. It just went back on one side. And farther back in the woods is Wilson's Creek, but it was probably 50, 60 yards away. And this is another weird thing.
I was about to segue into that actually.
Yeah. When we recorded the promo video, if you look at it on the YouTube shorts, you can kind of hear the noise in the background, but Noah had to go in and kill a bunch of background noise because it sounded like we were standing in running water, but you couldn't hear that when we were there.
Yeah, there was no extra noise. I literally had to go through and like remove certain decibels from being
and there was
heard.
A couple of points we heard something yell on the audio.
In the audio for the short. If you guys go back and watch that, towards the end, you will hear like at one point there's something that kind of goes, huh? And then there's also like briefly you can hear like chatter at one point, like right before the end of the video.
Yeah,
every once in a while you'll hear like a clicking noise. That's coming from the camera. That was me because we lost our tripod. We don't know where it went.
Yeah, we can't find the stupid tripod.
We can't find the damn tripod. We have no idea where it's at. So I was holding the camera. So if you hear clicking, that's me. That was me holding the camera.
Maybe the gargoyle got it.
Maybe.
Well, that's the thing is we thought we brought it with us. Apparently not. We got there and we were like, oh, we don't have the tripod. And then we got home because we were like, the tripod must be at home. Tripod wasn't at home.
And I thought maybe we might have left it in the charger from the other day when we filmed with the charger, but it wasn't there either.
Nope.
So we had no idea what happened to the tripod. We just can't find it.
Robert
Which I'm not
D,
real worried about. It was a fairly cheap one.
That was at McElhaney Cemetery near Wilson's Creek.
Yeah, just outside Springfield, near Battlefield, Missouri. It's a couple of miles down. Well, actually, up the creek, up Wilson's Creek from the battlefield. You could have followed that creek right into the national battlefield.
You get on the
David
Greenway
Sistine, get on the Greenway at night. I have, but they've got signs there at that.
Supposed to.
They've got signs there at the park that said it's closed from dusk till dawn. So I don't know if anybody would show up to run us out of there. But I might see if I can get a hold of the Springfield Parks Board and see if we can get permission to go back there and film.
We'll bring a team. It's not just going to be me and him. Hell no.
Yeah. There's a group of us going to Moon Valley tomorrow too.
Yeah, it would be pretty nuts going to that cemetery at night, particularly if it's just the two of you.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going back, just the two of us.
I don't really want to go back just the two of us during the day.
Yeah, it was pretty creepy. But I definitely want to go back. I would like to go back with the recorder and see if we could do some EVP sessions.
Yeah. Bring Connor with us. Mm-hmm. Run out there and do some EVP action. Dude, it was truly bizarre. And I mean, like, I've had some fairly in detail run-ins with things paranormal, and I've never ran into anything that brazen, like being in a creepy old house, you'll hear floorboards creak or like the sound of someone walking in the room next to you or something like that. Not the leaves and grass being crunched directly to my right while I'm trying to take a video of Dad
and getting scratched.
Yeah, and getting scratched. We forgot to mention there was one point where I was running back to take a picture of one of the berry bushes out there, which there were hundreds of berry bushes out there. So if there was an omnivore of any kind out there, or an herbivore, there's plenty of berries for it to eat. But that's a whole nother conversation, and not super relevant to what I'm saying right now. But I was running back to take a picture of one of those berry bushes, and while I'm walking, I hear something just like, actually, I was full blown sprinting. I hear something like moving quick in the brush coming towards me to my left. I stopped dead in my tracks and just got the camera ready. And like, you can ask Dad, like I went from a full sprint to stopped.
Yeah, he looked pretty shook up.
David By asked if I run. Not very well.
not often.
I did start running around the neighborhood a couple of years ago just to kind of help get myself in shape. The only thing that got in shape was my legs.
Robert D says my house now has a cold temperature drop around 3 a.m. and I get touched about every night. You might want to have somebody come do a blessing, even if it's a priest, or if you know anybody that is a Native American shaman or anything like that. I would seriously consider getting my house blessed. Hey, Marty. Marty's here.
Marty.
Hello. But yeah, it was absolutely just like I said, I've had creepy experiences places, right? I've had some pretty creepy experiences running through, this or that place. The only other place that I could compare the activity to would be that time we went to Kerr Cemetery, and something was hitting the fence and the gate opened uphill. Like that was pretty brazen, I will admit, but I haven't been back there in a while. You know what I mean?
Check this out, Noah. Mike from Abnormal Investigations just sent this to me. Let me share the screen. And this is granted, this is a screen cap from what we were just showing, but look what he circled. Let me see if I can. Hell, let me hang on. Let me stop sharing.
Well, here, I'll pull the picture up. I know exactly what he circled.
Okay. Well,
give me just a second. Give me just a second. Go to the spooky folder. And was that in the first picture or the second one?
Looks like it might have been the first one. And I'll give you the big screen again so you can hold it up.
I'll do both. I'll do both pictures. So this is the first picture. He has circled up here in the top left.
I mean, it's the second picture because it looks a little different.
Yeah, I mean, like I got a bit of pareidolia, like laughing hyena ass face in the first picture.
That's what I was just thinking.
But that's certainly different. I never noticed before. That is certainly different. It looks like something has moved in front of the window, but not like a spirit or anything like that. But something moved in front of the window.
Yeah, the images in the window have shifted. They're not the same. Any chance you could bring those two pictures up side by side?
Give me a moment. I will have to pop up Potato Shop. Actually, I could probably do it in MS Paint. I'm gonna Photoshop it. That I don't trust Paint for that. I don't trust Paint for anything.
Well, if it gets beyond Paint, it's pretty much outside my Photoshop skills.
Yeah, I'll just I'll bring up Photoshop. I will crop out those windows both and then put them right next to each other so we can see the compare contrast. Because
the car hadn't moved. I was sitting at a stop sign and he was leaning out the window taking those pictures. So
those are one after another. Those are right after each other.
Nothing had moved between frames. Noah hadn't gotten out. He was leaning out the window of the car taking those pictures. So it's not like he shifted position or, we were farther away or closer in the car. I was stopped at a stop sign while Noah leaned out the window and took those pictures. So no movement has happened. He might have panned the camera a little bit, but not much.
All right. Y'all give me just a moment. I'm still big mode. You're making me nervous. I feel like I'm on the stage here, man. You got me. All
Harrington says, Looks like 3 or 4 images to me in the second window. Freaky Geek says, I see a man's face sort of like Tex in the glass.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Give me just a second. I gotta zoom in on these.
Now, if you're a member of the Patreon, we're going to have these pictures up on the Patreon later.
And then everybody can just jump in and find what they find.
You can zoom in and take a look at them for yourself. These two pictures were taken within just a few seconds of each other.
So yeah, just one after another. You can see there's some pretty distinct differences between the, I mean, like obviously the lighting's a bit different because the clouds changed. But if you look at the picture on the left here, actually, let me get my face out of the way so you guys can see this window a little better. So on the left side here, you can see there's something in front. This is the first picture on the left side. There's something kind of in front of all this. Maybe like it could be hair, it could be an animal, it could be any number of things. But on the right side, it's not there. And if you look towards the bottom, there was something in the way on the left picture, and it's cleared up on the right. Which is just super bizarre.
Just weird.
And also, if you zoom in well enough on the right side face here, or the right side window here, this is pure pareidolia, right? But on the what I assume to be a curtain, nose, eye, brow,
It almost looks like crow's sting.
Kind of. It's weird that it's different from picture to picture. And
tell you what, I'll actually export this for y'all, so we can upload that to the Patreon as well. So that way you guys can have the compare right in front of you guys instead of having to like sit there and sift through it or make it yourself. And I may, while we're sitting here, I may make a comparison between the 3 cemetery shots as well. Yeah.
The 3 shadow shots. Yeah, let's do that. We'll put those up on the Patreon. Those will probably go up within an hour or so from the show tonight. JD Smooth says, I see 3 faces. Yeah, but that's the funny thing about those windows is the more you look at it, the weirder
those windows look.
It's like you can see different things in each one. It's different and it's bizarre. And the same thing with those shadows. And if you put those 3 images, like Noah zoomed in on all 3 of them and put them side by side he just like put them in the windows on his screen. He didn't like crop them or anything, but he had them all side by side when he showed them to me. And I'm like, yeah, in all 3, you can see it has moved drastically in each of the 3 pictures. And make sure you also add the one where it's not even in it at all.
The shot where it's those gravestones where you would see it.
Yeah, because we had the 4th image. We're like, see, it's not in this one.
Yeah, it should be here, but it's not.
Yeah, there's literally nothing there.
All right, I will get to work on those if we want to segue more into the topic, and then we can just upload those to the Patreon for everyone later.
Yeah, I didn't want to take up the whole show on that, but I wanted to talk about that a little bit because it was freaking weird.
It was absolutely bizarre.
We are planning to go back out there, see if we can do some EVP sessions, see if we can also maybe get some other cameras. So we've got cameras going in multiple directions. If I'd have known we were going to hear stuff walking around us, I'd have taken more than just my cell phone and the DSLR. I'd have had the GoPro facing backwards and I'd have had all kinds of stuff. But we were, like I said, the whole plan was just to go out there and shoot a promo video for the show tonight.
Right. Like we were just like, oh yeah, it's a little creepy, it's got that like, that ambience we're looking for. Right. And so we were like, yeah, why not? Let's go out there and record it. And then weird stuff started happening. So we're certainly going to be heading back there.
Kind of like the plan was just to shoot something for the book and you end up having dogman in the trees around you.
It's when we go out not looking for stuff that we always find stuff. Ryan Burke says, hey, DA, I'm going to send you a pic from a local store of mine. You got to check it out. Dude, I'd love to. We need to get you and JT back on the show, by the way, brother. Freaky Geek says, if you did a 6-hour live, you might have more time to spend on this topic. You know, if we did a 6-hour live, people would get tired of us, I'm pretty sure. Although there have been times we've done 5 and almost 6 hours, right? Remember, Robbie? It was well over 4 each time we had the guys from Strange Road on.
I was about to say we went 4.5 both times with Mikey and Bub.
Henry White says, what time of day do you take those pictures in the window? Probably between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. And do you think that's about accurate, Noah? But it's between 2 and 3 when we took those?
I'd say probably closer to 1:30, 2:30, honestly.
Oh, okay. Because I know we came back home and ate lunch after that.
Yeah, and yeah, I'd say between 1:30 and 2:30, honestly, because we got out of there, or we made it back to home, I guess I should say, probably around 3:15 ish.
Yeah, I think the last pictures we took were the church, so it was probably just before 3 because we were heading home.
True. I forgot we didn't really stop anywhere on the way home.
Yeah, the pictures of the church were probably taken just shortly before 3 this afternoon. Roxanne Delgado says, I live in an apartment in Kansas City with my daughter. We had a ghost of an old man who was always around my daughter. The ghost ended up being her protector. She fell off a rock and somehow she landed on her feet. It's awesome. I definitely believe that, some spirits are guardian spirits. Well, again, you guys check out the Patreon later. We'll post those pictures, the original and the zoomed in versions, over on the Patreon here sometime later tonight. But now we'll jump over to the regular topic. We're going to talk about animals that were thought to be extinct, which may not be. And the prime example of that everybody knows about is the coelacanth. They thought it went extinct like 2.5 million years ago. Turns out the people from Madagascar think they're pretty tasty. They'd been eating them for generations. So the coelacanth, while they thought it was a prehistoric fish that died out with the dinosaurs, it is actually still around and still being eaten today. But that's just the prime example of something that basically got thrown in their face. Robbie, you know more about the researcher. Why don't we talk a little bit about the thylacine?
Forrest Galante is the, I don't know if he is the expert on the thylacine, but as far as people who are head and shoulders a bit above everybody else who are trying to prove that this thing is still, he's right up there. He's a field researcher. I believe he's a biologist, a wildlife biologist too. The guy knows his stuff. He's been all over the world, done just about everything. He's been on the Joe Rogan Experience. He's been on, I don't know how many Discovery shows. So he knows what he's talking about, but he has pretty much all but just come out and said, yes, this thing is still alive. He's had, he's got his own, or I don't know if it's his podcast or he's just on it with this guy, but they've had several podcasts where they've talked about, in Madagascar and around that area, he's discovered, I don't know how many species that are just brand new species, not ones that are thought to be extinct, but just brand new species that nobody ever knew about. But he's got a bunch of contacts out, and I want to say it was in Papua New Guinea, because that's where they think that some of these remnant populations have migrated to. They've pretty much found this one village where this guy claims that he was raising them basically as just pets. And so, but people, you got to understand, it's not just like if Noah, where he's at right now, said, "Hey, I don't have a camera, but I got a thylacine running around here. If you send me a camera, I'll take a picture of it." And from South Carolina to Missouri, I can in a day can have a camera to Noah. Where these villages and these people are at, you can't get a camera to them in less than like 3 or 4 weeks. It just it takes, they're so that far out. So by the time something gets there, there's not a lot of time. I mean, you know, sometimes these things have moved on, or in the case of this guy right here, the pup that he had, it got killed by another village dog, and they'd already buried it. So he ended up going out there, and I saw the episode right after he came back, and just his body, you know, our line of work, just reading body language and knowing how to read people, the way he was talking, the things he was saying, he just being super evasive, the look on his face. I think he found it, or he found one, or maybe more. I don't know, but he kept saying stuff like, you know, things are still in the works, talks are being made, you know, just those keywords. There's probably going to be some kind of big show that's going to come out, and I look for it probably the next 5 to 6 months, probably, that it's going to be out, that thing is still alive.
And that wouldn't surprise me, because there, you know, in Australia alone, there are dozens and dozens of sightings of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Toombs and I have talked about that quite a bit. You know, people are seeing them all the time.
Yeah. But what got this conversation started between DA and I is I watched another video the other day about saber-toothed cats that have been seen recently. Not like, now some of the sightings obviously were, and you said you did get to watch that video, right, DA?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a couple sightings scattered in there that were, you know, what, 15, 20 years old, maybe some of them a little bit older. But a lot of these sightings were like in the 2000s, like from 2000s on, in places like Chad. I think Niger was one they had some sightings at. There was like 4 or 5 different countries where these, and you know, a lot of people when they hear saber-tooth, they think saber-tooth tiger, and that's it. There were like probably 20 or 30 different types of species of saber-tooth cats, and people have seen different versions of these in all these different places. One of them they called the mountain tiger, and they said that that's the one I think that was in Chad, that lives up in the mountains. Chad,
yeah.
That's a recent sighting as early as 2019, I believe, was one of them.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
That somebody had seen one of these things, and it's supposed to be bigger than a lion, and had 6 or 7 inch canines, or maybe they're bigger than that. But
I think they said 7 or 8.
Okay, 7 or 8 inch canines, and I think they said they estimated to weigh 700 to 800 pounds. I mean, that's a big animal. But they also said that this is a solitary animal, which would be why you wouldn't see, you know, if animals live in packs, it's a lot, or clans or prides or whatever you want to call it, it's a lot easier chance, or a lot better chance to catch them, because they're always together. But if it's a solitary creature, then you know you got the chances of seeing them are a lot less.
Yeah. Well, you know, when most people think of the saber-tooth, they think of the one that, you know, everybody shows on television or in the stories, what they refer to as the Smilodon, and
Smilodon fatalis.
And those were present here in the United States. Well, of course, you know, back during the megafauna days, they haven't supposedly existed for, you know, 50,000 years or more. But in the La Brea tar pits out in California, they found nearly complete skeletons of these things. So they know at one point they did wander this continent. But when you start looking at places like Alaska and the far north parts of Canada, there are places where there just aren't people. Lots of them.
Yep. Well, and there's stories that come in from places in Russia all the time where, and I can't remember where what platform I saw this story on, but this was just 10 or 15 years ago that this story came in. That this guy who's I want to say he was an archaeologist, or anyway, he's in one of these little bazaars in Russia, and he sees a mammoth tusk, and he goes and asks the guy. He says, Where'd you get that? He goes, oh, there's some hunters up there. They take them off the animals they kill. He's like, no. He said, just come off of a mammoth. He says, it's been extinct for the whole. Oh no.
Yeah, couldn't possibly exist.
And they're like, no, seriously, there's a tribe of hunters that live up there, and they kill these things regularly. And that was not long ago. So out in the frozen tundra of, I want to say, I assume it was Siberia, because that's a big area that they used to find a lot.
There's a story out of Alaska, and this was in the early 1900s. There was a guy who was buying petrified. What's the word I'm looking for? Fossils of woolly mammoth tusks, and they would, of course, they'd be like red or brown because they'd been in the ground, and all the soil, elements from the soil leaching into the ivory. But he was making a lot of money buying these mammoth tusks, these old petrified mammoth tusks from the natives. And, he was, because they would selling them to museums and stuff, and he was making pretty good money at it. And then one day, a Eskimo hunter comes in with a one that's white with still pieces of flesh where they'd hacked it off from the thing. And the guy's like, where did you get this? He's like, out near our village, we hunt these things all the time. And he's like, no, these things are extinct. And he's like, no, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
we hunt
these things all the time.
Exact. Okay. Well, and that's not that far apart. So obviously there's more than one tribe up there that's hunting these things, because you get somebody from Russia and somebody from Alaska, these two indigenous tribes who are, live off the land, and that's all they do. It's kind of like when we talk about Native Americans and Bigfoot, it's a way of life to them. There's no ooh, ah to it mostly for them. It's just, they grow up with it. They know it. They accept it. It is what it is. Same thing with these indigenous tribes that live in the steppes of Siberia and out in the harsh wilderness of Alaska. If they know these things are there, they don't care that we say the thing is supposed to have been okay, whatever, dummy. You believe that? I'm gonna go back out. I'm gonna go back and get me a mammoth steak. Sorry.
It's the same. It's the same thing what you were talking about with the Mayan stones. I mean, it's not like, in the 1800s or early 1900s that these native tribes had Google. Where the hell did how do they know what these things are?
Yeah,
if
exactly.
There's no way to look up what it is.
Well, I know a couple people who live in Tasmania who I've brought up, I've just brought up that the Tasmanian tiger is dead, and they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, I've seen one. It's like, oh, well, that certainly is pretty eye-opening, but it's not just like a one person thing, It's like I've asked plenty of people who live in Tasmania or lived in Tasmania, and they're like, yeah, dude, like the Tasmanian tiger's still rolling around. Whoever told you it's extinct is wrong.
And it's like here in the Ozarks, the ivory-billed woodpecker was reported as extinct for years and years and years, but they're starting to see him again in Arkansas with growing frequency.
But and the problem is, and y'all know this, there's some people that are too smart for their own good. They think that just because it's like your analogy with the tablespoon of water. Or a tablespoon of seawater. Well,
no sharks in this
sharks,
seawater. So sharks don't exist.
Sharks don't exist. Well, I've stepped off an airplane in Alaska and I didn't see no mammoths, so they must they must be extinct.
It's like filling up the pool in your backyard going for a swim. There aren't any piranhas here. Those aren't real.
So you got to get outside the box and get outside that closed-minded way of thinking before.
And the thing is, like, we know less about our own forests than anyone cares to admit. Everyone always talks about, oh, we know more about the surface of Mars or the moon than we know about the bottom of our own ocean. Nobody ever talks about how little we know about our own forests. They're constantly discovering random things that they didn't know existed before in the Amazon, in Madagascar, you know, in jungles all over the world, but not just in jungles. You know, we'll find stuff. It's like, oh, hey, a new species of beetle was discovered in South America, and it's like, oh,
they find new species
it's probably in the
insect all
jungle,
the time.
right? And then you look it up, and it's like in a Chilean mountain, and it's like, oh, all right, that's different. And then you do all sorts of research on it, and it's like, yeah, it's a cousin to the North American ox beetle or whatever. You know, it's just like, all right, cool that we found out that this existed, but what else do we not know exists?
There is one thing that's been reported by people, indigenous tribes in Canada, in Alaska, and by hikers in Canada and Alaska, especially in the Yukon Territory and British Columbia, that if it turns out that thing is still alive, it's absolutely terrifying. And that's the short-faced bear. This is a bear that the biggest specimens probably stood between 16 and 18 feet tall and weighed as much as a ton, 2,000 to 2,500 pounds. Since the time of the dinosaurs, it was the largest predator during the megafauna days. It was the largest earth-going predator, not counting anything in the ocean, but on land, it was the largest, most lethal predator out there, and people are seeing it. Right now, with the bears that we know exist, the grizzly bear is the heaviest and broadest, and the polar bear is the tallest. The short-faced bear was taller than a polar bear and broader than a grizzly. They were monsters.
And there's been reports from like Norway, Finland, and Sweden, as well as like I've heard of some parts of Canada where they report having seen dire wolves. Like it'd be like, hey, you saw a wolf the other day. How big was it? Would you say it was, like timber wolf size? And they're like, no, way bigger than a timber wolf. And the only thing that checks out is a dire wolf. And it's like, you didn't see a wolf that big. But when multiple reports come in, it's not like I once caught a fish that was this big. And then later on, it's like, I once caught a fish that was this big. You know what I mean? Like when you have that consistency, it's like, maybe there is something out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Glenn Dannison says, holy crap, more terrifying than a grizzly. Yeah, the short-faced bear, a grizzly is dwarfed in comparison. It weighs half again its body weight and is probably 4 feet taller. Yeah, an average height for grizzly is about 10 feet. Average height for a short-faced bear was well over 12. With specimens as tall as 19 feet being found.
And Eric Testerman just asked, and you and I had this exact conversation. Yes, Eric, the bear in the movie Grizzly was supposed to be a short-faced bear. He actually has a little talk about that, and he describes it. And I think he said like 17 feet is what he said, but that's kind of a mid-level height.
To put that into perspective, folks, if you live in a one-story house with a gabled roof, with an angled pitched roof, not a flat roof, if you've got like my house, if you've got a house that's got a pitched roof, shingled, a full-grown short-faced bear could stand in your front yard and look into your backyard and decide whether or not it was going to come eat your dog. It could look over the top of your house from its hind legs.
And by that, he means not walk around the house. He means walk through the house.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do to stop it?
Yeah. If it wanted in the house, it's coming.
Unless you have an elephant rifle hanging around, and even then,
This is a bear.
You better have something like a 4-bore or a T-Rex or something like that. If you
This is a bear that weighs more than most SUVs.
You better be firing like at least 80 millimeter AP.
Just look at the bears we've got right now. Is there any way that we can keep those bears out of our cars or our houses if they went in? No. And that's just not like a regular bear, small or anything. I mean, like DA just said, a grizzly's average is like 10 feet tall, which is huge compared to us. But this is like comparing, a chicken to a Great Dane.
A short-faced bear compared to a grizzly would be like putting a Saint Bernard next to a German
Chihuahua.
Shepherd. No, not quite a Chihuahua.
Not quite.
No, it's still a German Shepherd is still a good-sized dog. It's a 100-pound dog, but a Saint Bernard, 200-pound dog, be twice the size of that German Shepherd. And that'd be the same comparison with the short-faced bear. It's just freaking massive.
I will say now with the evolution of animals and where animals have come from since megafauna, right?
Brewing Storm said the Chihuahua would be the black bear.
But since animals' evolution since then, animals have gotten a lot smaller. One, because food's a lot more scarce than it was at the time. But two, like there's just no need to be that big. There's not an ecosystem that would support it for them. So I will say that if there are modern remnants of the short-faced bear, they're probably not as big as the old ones.
Not necessarily, because you look at the ungulate populations of the dense northern forests. You've got caribou, you've got reindeer, you've got moose, you've got elk, and then you've got black-tailed and white-tailed deer. There's plenty of and even wood bison. There's plenty of big ungulates that it could eat. Not to mention, if it decided to eat a polar bear, it's probably gonna.
My point is, it may have lost some of its size over time, though, because I mean, everything kind of did it to one, fly further below the radar, and two, so food would go further.
I still don't want to run into a 14-foot, 1,500-pound bear.
Yeah, like I said, like it's probably not going to be as big, but still running into a 1-ton bear in the woods would be like, oh, all right. Well, this. I don't go home today.
If a bear that big came after you, your car's not going to help you. Yeah, you getting in your car, It's going to rip the door. It's going to rip that car apart getting to you. There's no building that's going to stop it unless it's probably made of heavy concrete, steel reinforced concrete, and even then, it's probably only going to slow it down.
So this is, if you think about it, this is one time when Hollywood actually got something close to right, because think about what that thing did in the movie, and the
when it took that horse's head off with one swipe,
and the proportions and everything, that's pretty spot on.
Even if Noah's right, if they are smaller, let's say, they're as a species, they're still bigger than grizzly bears. Or some of the larger brown bears. Kodiaks are still 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
So it's not at all feasible. I mean, it is not at all unbelievable to think that they could still be 16, 17 feet tall, because Kodiaks get to 12, 13, 14 feet tall and 1,800 pounds. That's a big bear.
What? And you think about a lot of the polar bears, they're not small either. So if you've already got stuff that's close to that anyway, I ain't seen Ken in the comments tonight, so I guess I'm okay to say something, to use a shark
reference.
But the average great white, adult female great white is 16 to 17 feet long. That's massive. But you got those outliers like deep blue, who is estimated to be at 22-ish feet. So you got an average of 16 to 17 feet, but then you got, and she's not the only one. She's just the most famous. That's the one that everybody photographs all the time that they see. But that, you're looking at what, 5-6 feet past what that is. I mean, so outliers like that can exist, and I wouldn't want to meet those outliers.
Oh, hell no. And that, that's another good point, when you're talking about sharks, and we talked about this when on some of the ocean some of the deep water shows that we thought we did, but the megalodon could be out there
very easily.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, for lack of a better way of putting it, evidence of the megalodon being out there. And then there's some things that it's like, wow, there could be a megalodon out there.
Yeah.
People will show pictures of whales that have been bitten into and things like that. Which, if you dig any deeper into the whale that has been bitten into, it, like, everyone's like, yeah, no, these markings aren't consistent with being attacked by a big shark. These are consistent with being attacked by another whale. So, there's some things that, like, you have to look at them and be like, maybe not. But then it's like, hey, we tracked this truly massive shark on its way around the Ivory Coast, and you're like, oh.
Well, but the thing with that, though, Noah, is ships use shipping lanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And shipping lanes are they're there. It's not like you got a shipping lane over here. You got to ship it. All travel in the ocean is pretty much regulated
through those shipping lanes.
Through those shipping lanes.
Or through cruise lanes as well.
How much of the ocean does those shipping lanes take up comparatively?
Less than a percentage.
Yeah, less
than a percentage.
So,
a fraction of a percentage.
So if people in the ocean or that are traveling the ocean are seeing things and they're only seeing it there, what is going on in these places that the shipping lanes are not at?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
70% of the world is.
They say if you're out of the shipping lanes and your boat sinks, they'll never find you. Because they don't search. They don't even search that because they don't expect boats to be out there.
Yeah, you've got a plus or minus of a few degrees latitude, longitude, and if you're outside of that, then you're gone. Like, hasta la vista, But in the vein of like aquatic creatures, have you guys seen any of the videos that have been popping up on either TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or just really anything of these guys who are on like fishing trawlers or like shipping or cargo ships and whatnot, and they're out in the middle of the sea, just pitch black all around them, and you can hear singing coming from the ocean? Have you seen any of those videos? They are wicked creepy. I don't know if they're real or not, but they give me the heebies and the jeebies, man.
Well, I think that's why the ocean has always kind of been that, because it's kind of a perfect little innuendo to that. The ocean is one of those things. It is a siren in itself. It always calls you, and it's got that allure to it, but it can kill you just like that if you're not careful. And I think that's kind of, it's like 6 1, half a dozen another. Yeah, you can see some amazing things in it, but if you ain't careful, you ain't gonna ever tell anybody about them.
What if they're in the deep ocean? They're still mosasaurs.
And who's to say there can't be? Because there's plenty of food in the ocean to support a large predator like that. I mean, the ocean is plentiful food stores. Because I mean, if something like a mosasaur actually eats sharks, like like Jurassic Park said, which I know that's a movie, and we don't know if that, but if it does, I mean, plenty of food. Meat's back on the menu, boys.
Yeah, definitely.
Or fish meat.
Here's one for you. What about the Machina Mbembe?
Baby, the movie.
The movie Baby.
That's what that was about.
But there are sightings of the Machina Mbembe along the Congo River all the time.
And they're getting along the same vein we've been talking about. How much of the Congo has actually been explored?
Not as much as you'd think, because
Not
a lot of
at
times
all.
explorers go in, they don't come back.
Yeah, and was it this show we were talking about that? When somebody was talking about and it was back when I guess when England still controlled it.
I thought the Belgians controlled the Congo.
Or maybe it was the Belgians anyway.
It was the Belgians, yes.
But they were like they were going to go look for signs of that. And they're like, okay, well, I don't know. I ain't going in there. You have fun.
Yeah, knock yourself right on out. I ain't going in there.
Now, they did here another example of Hollywood getting it right. You know, they sent, and I can't remember the guy's name that actually went in and did all these documentaries on this and went and looked for this. But the movie actually had part of that in it. Some of the natives were getting sick eating this meat, and they went in to try to find out why they were getting sick originally, and they said they were getting sick off because of the meat they were eating. So they were like, well, what did you eat? And they they start telling them about it. So they start showing them pictures and books of things like caiman and crocodiles and monitor lizards and all kinds of other herbivores, hippos and all this kind of stuff. And no, and I don't remember how it came about. I think maybe one of them drew, like it did in the movie, drew in the sand what it looked like. And the researcher was like, well, that looks like a dinosaur, like a brontosaurus or something. So if they had the book, whatever, they got a book of dinosaurs. So they start flipping through it, and they get to those big sauropods like that, and they're like, yeah, that's it right there. That's what we killed and what we ate, and that's what got everybody sick. And they're like, so that part of the movie is actually true. They made a few liberties here and there, I'm sure, but for the most part, that's what happened. Is they were killing and eating these things that was getting them sick. Kind of a la Steve Lilly and his Sasquatch leg meat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, another good example of something that they didn't believe existed, and granted, this also covers our cryptids, but when throughout the Congo Basin, they were telling stories to people that came in from missionaries to explorers, warning them about killer apes. And they're like, no, killer apes don't exist. These are peaceful, noble giants of the woods. There are no killer apes. And the locals are like, yes, there are. They hunt and kill lions. And they're like, no. Like my joke about the British Museum. Oh, no, that couldn't possibly exist. And then in 1999, National Geographic captured the Billy ape on camera for the first time, and they're like, suddenly the killer ape theory ain't crazy anymore, because those things are killers. They've hunted tribesmen. They will hunt lions, and they make war on each other and use tools.
That's what Michael Crichton based the Congo. Yeah, he based them off those legends. But when that movie came out, they hadn't even been discovered.
Congo came out in the early 90s, and the Billy ape wasn't discovered until 99 or 2000.
I want to kind of cast a quick line here and reel us back in, because this is an animal that wasn't thought to be extinct. It was an animal that was thought to have not existed. And I mean, like, we did get on this topic pretty naturally. But we have visited this topic before, and I wanted to maybe discuss some animals that have been reappearing. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. Hopefully, you guys aren't taking me as being an asshole.
No. We gotta get reined back in on the topic once in a while. But bear dogs, is another one that people have been seeing.
Yeah, people I read that just the other day. Like, people have been reporting seeing like not quite bear, but also not quite dogs in North America and in Europe. Like I read 3 different stories from 2 different continents.
Let me see if I can get this image to save. Come on. My computer's being funny. There we go. Let me share my screen. This is a bear dog. And I want one. I think they're adorable. Of course, they're the size of a freaking mountain lion, but who's going to come in your yard with that in your yard?
Yeah, it's got the face of sort of a bear, but way too small to be one. It's got the build of a dog and the tail of a cat. It's like
it's the size of an elk.
Ah, Jesus.
Yeah, 1,000 pounds of teeth and muscle. I think they're adorable. I want one. Imagine having that and riding in a convertible with you. Of course, the car would be hunkered down on the side the dog was on.
It's coming down out there. I can hear the rain through my headphones.
Holy crap, it is. It is flat porn. The KY3 was saying we weren't supposed to get hit with the rain till after 10. Well, folks, just to let you all know, we got thunderstorms, heavy thunderstorms coming through our area, and they're actually hitting us an hour earlier than they were saying. Because I checked just before the show, I checked the weather app, and it was saying that the thunderstorms weren't supposed to hit us until after 10. So if Noah and I just vanish, we've lost power. So, you know, and Robbie, I don't know whether Robbie has co-host access, but I don't know if it'll let him shut the show down. So if Robbie's suddenly the only one on the air, we'll be back on when we can. I don't know how long it'll take. I don't know how long we'll be out of power, but we will do our best. So, yeah, like I said, I wasn't expecting the rain to hit this hard this fast.
Robbie's gonna be there. Hello, my honey. Hello, my baby. Hello, my ragtime gal.
He's gonna be doing.
I may wear a cowboy hat, but I ain't no country music singer.
Robbie, listen.
How did you do that, Robbie?
How did I do
we
what?
We could hear you talking, but your lips aren't moving. Your video and audio aren't working.
They're moving for me. That's just on your end, good sir.
Yeah.
I can see him shaking his head, but his mouth ain't moving.
It's moving, I promise.
Yeah, it's moving. Do we need to get your eyes checked again?
Maybe.
We need
Holy
to swap
crap.
you over to like quadfocals. We need to.
I don't think I'm Jeff Dunham.
For whatever reason, I'm not. Robbie's. I can see him moving, but his mouth ain't moving. I can hear him talk.
That's weird.
I don't know. I think he's gonna have to go with the insanity plea here because I'm seeing your mouth move just fine, Robbie. I'm seeing it move fine in the studio, and I'm seeing it move just fine on YouTube. I've got both of them up.
Check on YouTube.
No, William, it's me. I promise. I think they got DA. He's the only one who can't see my mouth moving.
Yeah, something crazy is going on.
Has Robbie been muppeted? All right.
Noah's got his hand up, Robbie.
Hello, everybody. Oh my God.
Robert D says, "DA, clean your glasses." Qbot 111 says, "Sorry to ask, but can you put the Discord channel up again?" Sure. Toombs, you want to put up the Discord link again?
How about I do it? Ha! Beat him to the punch.
Woo! Nighthawk says DA's just smoking stuff.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
3D Havoc says a monsoon just let loose up here in Columbia. Yeah, you're about 2.5 hours away from us. We're pretty far to the south.
Yeah.
I guess it was pummeling Kansas a little bit ago, but what the heck is going on? I can see Robbie's lips moving, but I don't hear any sound.
I'm not saying anything.
Robbie's not talking.
What the hell is going on with my computer? All right, I'm going to disappear for a second. I'm going to reboot my browser.
You go check on your dad, Noah.
Oh my god, that
Can
is so
Can
good.
you still hear me?
I hear you fine now.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, bye. Where did he go? What just happened?
I don't know. I didn't do it.
Oh, Toom said he wasn't expecting a Muppet demo to happen. Where did Robbie go?
Something's crazy's going on with the broadcast tonight. I'm telling you. I can hear Robbie talk, but his lips were not moving.
What just happened?
We're the ones having the storm, and we lost Robbie.
Oh man!
Did you just hear that thunder?
Yeah, it's still
I heard
cracking.
it through my
Oh,
headphones.
there's Robbie. There's Robbie. What just
What
happened?
He said he was gonna. He said he was gonna cut out, and it flipped to me and you. And I said, "Can you still hear me?" And then you froze, and then it just kicked me out. And I'm like,
Oh my god, dude!
Nighthawk says it happened to him this morning.
"Did
Oh
we
my
stumble on
god!
something that we shouldn't be talking about?"
Maybe the storm is glitching with our internet. I don't know.
Oh my god!
Little Patty says powers that be messing with the streaming. It's something. Okay.
I showed those pictures earlier, and they're cursed.
Yeah.
Is it good now, Da? Can you?
I think so. Yeah.
Am I lined up?
Yeah. Looks like everything's back where it's supposed to be, at least for the moment.
Oh,
Nighthawk says we were talking about the same subject as you guys. Now that's just freaking weird.
that's
They
very
were talking
strange.
about the same stuff about extinct animals, and
That's
they start
disturbing.
having that is really disturbing.
No, we didn't say extinct. We said stinking animals.
Yeah, we said stinky animals. That damn skunk, man.
Ryan
Stinky
Burke, who
skunk.
was in the chat earlier, said he was going to send me something. He texted it to me, so I can't put it on the computer unless I like copy it and send it over to my own. But here, I don't know if you can see the image.
Nope. Send it to me on Messenger, and I'll just pop it up.
I'm gonna have to download the image because it was via text.
Oh my god.
You know me, I'm terrible with tech.
DA can't see, Robbie can't talk, and I can hear just fine. I can hear everybody just fine. Oh my goodness. That
And I was talking just fine.
Ugh. Only on this show. Only with this group can that happen.
Pretty much.
No, I just sent it to you.
All right. You send it to me on Facebook? Oh yeah, there it is.
Facebook. Ryan, if you're still listening, I got the text. I got that image
Okay,
in the
I'll
text and sent it over to Noah to bring it up.
I'm not even gonna
Apparently,
bother.
that was captured in a store. Can you zoom in on that? What's in the middle of that circle?
I can. Nope, apparently not. Apparently I cannot zoom in. So give me just a second. I'm going to download it and we'll do it that way.
Okay.
Store CCTV Gomst, I guess is what I'm titling that. I don't know, man. All right, here we go. Now I can zoom in. Look at this little fella. This goofy dude.
It looks like a partial apparition of a person walking down that aisle in the store.
Yeah, and everyone always says stores are super haunted. I think it's the ghost of the Black Friday shoppers.
Somebody
We'll go
got
with that.
trampled to death for a $300 TV.
Yeah. I wanted to pay $200 for that TV, and so I killed a man. Like, Jesus. But yeah, I mean that's
Toom says he sees it, partial body.
yeah. I mean, if
Bring
someone
that back up.
if someone says they don't see that, then maybe
Bring that back
maybe
up. I'm
much
going to
like-
put you up on the big thing again.
maybe much like you needing to
Let
get
me,
your eyes checked about seeing Robbie's lips moving.
Let me swap. There we go.
So yeah, I mean, there's clearly something standing right there in that aisle. Like it's
Dude, Ryan, you need to tell me the story behind this picture.
yeah, and tell him the store so we can
Yeah,
either
Not
maybe
go
go
there.
there.
either avoid going there or go there willingly. Who knows?
Well,
we
we've
don't know
done
what we're
dumber.
gonna do next. Yeah,
We've
we
done
have-
dumber.
Yeah, like going to Joe Bald multiple times at night.
Don Donaldson says looks like a reaper.
You know,
Maybe.
I'll run out in the woods looking for a dogman or a Bigfoot. I don't want to mess with no ghosts. I'm sorry.
Am I close enough to the image, chat?
I don't think it's a little close. So
It's a little
like
pixelated now.
on Aladdin with Robin Williams. Too close, a little too close.
But yeah, I mean, I've got like maybe like a bit of chin definition here, and then like hairline. You know,
It's a partial image. I mean, you can see through parts of it.
oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, that one I managed to mute for. Oh,
That's a freaky image.
that is a pretty freaky image.
Mark Napier says you can't shoot a ghost. I can shoot at it.
Hey, rock salt in the shotgun, man. I might be able to. I'll have a priest bless some flares, and I'll just take a flare gun with me.
O Lord, bless this thy holy hand grenade. With it thou mayst blow thine enemies to tiny bits in thy mercy.
Oh man,
I need to watch that again.
I love
Such a
that
good movie.
movie.
It is such a good movie.
His blood flesh wound.
Eric Testerman says, clean up in aisle 9, got a brown puddle.
Well, I mean, judging from how dark the image is, I would reckon that was at night. So, you know, security probably saw that, ran in there, noticed there was nobody there, and then they were like, code brown.
Have you seen that video that's floating around of the from a hotel? Security gets called to a room, and the image shows the security officer outside the hotel room, but there's nobody assigned to the room, and you can hear like screaming coming from the room, and he
then
like opens the door and goes in, then immediately comes hauling ass back out of the room and takes off down the hallway, and then a couple seconds later you see something come out of the room and walk down the hallway, and it's partially see-through.
Yeah, I've seen that video.
That video is freaky.
We're way off topic.
Miss Lene says, guys, I gotta go. Coyotes are stirring up trouble. Catch y'all next Wednesday. Miss Lene, be safe. Make sure you take something capable of putting a coyote down, and maybe something bigger in case it ain't a coyote.
See, you thought we were off topic when we were talking about bears and sharks, Noah.
True. You know, maybe I shouldn't have brought up that we were off topic. You know, we were like, yeah, we're off topic. Maybe we should reel it in, and then we got somehow worse off topic.
Well, you know, here's something that's thought to be extinct, which could very well not be. What about Gigantopithecus?
Yeah, I mean, it would be consistent with modern day depictions of Bigfoot.
Well, at least some descriptions of Bigfoot.
Well, yeah, and I mean, even if you want to think about it like you know, offshoots. You know, you want to think about offshoots of an ancient creature. That could explain why we have ones that have kind of like a mandrill-like face. It could explain the Gugway. It could explain Sasquatch. It could explain the Yeti. You know, ones that
There's a lot of scientists who actually believe that Bigfoot is a offshoot
Gigantopithecus.
of Gigantopithecus.
It does make a lot of sense, and it certainly fits within our pursuit of flesh and blood creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. However,
But I don't think it accounts for all sightings of Bigfoot.
And particularly, I don't think it accounts for our theory of the wood knocks not being knocks but being clicking. It doesn't really account for that.
The only fossil records that were ever found of Gigantopithecus were found in caves.
Well, I was more so meaning more using it for echolocation specifically.
Well, that could have been an evolutionary trait.
Yeah.
'Cause remember,
Well,
Neanderthal and even Gigantopithecus were hunted by early man.
that's what I was about to say. It would have no choice if we were hunting them further and further into the caves. It would have to develop a way to navigate those caves.
That's just an adaptation. If you didn't start off living in the caves and you got driven into the caves and you had to adapt to living in those caves, that's a natural adaptation that you're.
Well, it wouldn't even take multiple generations to adapt. Robbie, what was that video you were talking about? Well, I've seen the video too of a blind man who taught himself to ride a bike by clicking his tongue.
Yeah, he taught himself how to echolocate.
And that's a person that just taught themselves how to do it. If we can do it, no reason why other higher primates couldn't. And we humans are on the higher primate, the order of higher primates.
So I think that, like Noah said, that kind of lines into the theories that we've kind of set our anchors into on this channel.
Like I said, it would not necessarily account for. Holy crap! The rain just started coming down. It wouldn't necessarily account for the echolocation, but it would certainly kind of open up an idea for how it came to be. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think it has to account for it. I think it just has to, because, like we said, there's multiple factors that are going to go into. Because if that's not something that they did from day one, and it was a learned adaptation, then what's going to account for that is us. If we are the ones that drove them into the caves because we were hunting them to extinction or whatever, then we account for that being echolocation.
Also, want to fall back on a question that I don't remember who asked it, but somebody, I think it was Poncho. Yeah, Poncho here, asked if we were an offshoot of Gigantopithecus. No, we were an offshoot of Australopithecus, which was a more monkey-like ape, not a gorilla-like ape. So I mean, we're a bit different than Gigantopithecus.
We'll bring up.
However,
This is pretty good.
it is the Gigantopithecus does appear somewhere on the great ape scale. We just don't exactly know where. Brewing Storm says, hypothetically speaking, should said caves be more habitable, like honeycombed biospheres in the earth with giant-sized caves with lights of their own, might be more going on than dark? True. I mean, we know bioluminescence is a thing. There are some species of animals that just glow. And also, was it in Laos or Vietnam where they discovered that sinkhole that had its own ecosystem? That cave system?
I think it was in Laos.
I think it was in Laos, yeah.
But because we were talking about that before when we talked about that, a lot of this stuff sounds like the stuff that Jules Verne wrote about.
Yeah. Jules Verne, was it Jules Verne that wrote The Lost World?
Wrote Lost World, Jules Verne wrote Journey to the Center of the Earth, 20,000 Leagues Beneath the Sea, Journey to Mars. I think he wrote Gulliver's Travel.
Lost World was written by Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yeah, so Arthur Conan Doyle.
About where they found that area where dinosaurs still existed.
Yeah. But even that, though, take all that into consideration. And this goes back to some of the other questions we've asked before. How did Jules Verne know how to describe a submarine that's basically, the Nautilus is basically
a nuclear
not much
submarine
different than our nuclear class submarines we have now?
Yeah.
How did he just, in the 1800s, we've talked about this before, he didn't have, I mean, he had some some type of submersible craft to kind of reference right there
Yeah.
towards the, but
Yeah, but it
not
was
any-
extremely primitive.
yeah, but not anything.
And he
like
was
the
able to
novels
basically
described.
construct technology, well, for in his imagination to come up with things that we're building now.
Yeah. So, and for Journey to the Center of the Earth, because this is what we talked about that. What they described in Laos is a lot like
The
some of
Lost World.
Well, not the Lost World, the Journey, what was in the Journey to the Center of the
Right.
Earth. But the Lost World was kind of the only difference was the Lost World was up on a high plateau, and
True.
Journey to the Center of Earth was a biosphere that was more of the
And
hollow Earth.
we
theory.
don't know what exists at that depths. There could be entire ecosystems down there that exist on bioluminescence. Or these things just might be very well adapted to seeing in the dark.
I mean,
But
hell,
the
for
whole
all we
point of
know,
that
there could
is-
be mushroom people down there. Like,
But the
It's
whole
true.
point of that is, how did he know to write about this, hundreds of years ago, and now here in 2022 or whenever it was that was discovered, that's being discovered. That's almost identical to what he described hundreds of years ago in his book.
Yeah.
How,
Well,
how
not
does that
hundreds
happen?
years ago. I think he wrote those books in the mid 1800s or the late 1800s. Still 150 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, oh Lord, Ken's here.
Ken's here. He says, Biosphere, I'm proud of you, Robbie.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it, buddy.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You missed. I've got to give my symposium on sharks again because you just showed up, Ken.
Yeah, you missed it.
That was just for you, and you missed it. But
there are dozens of animals that have thought to be extinct that are still being sighted. Supposedly, the some of the travelers that have been through the Nahanni Valley up in Canada have reported seeing not only tracks but seeing woolly mammoths.
mhm.
carrier
that area.
pigeons.
Carrier pigeons are supposed to be extinct.
Yeah, carrier pigeons are supposed to be extinct, but I've literally read multiple different stories recently of people in other countries who are like, yeah, man, like I've seen people keep carrier pigeons and still send stuff that way. And it's like, is it reliable? Probably not, but
Well, the thing about it is Western science has always been quick to dismiss tales from the indigenous people, be they Native American, be they African indigenous people, be they Australian indigenous people.
hell,
The indigenous tribes that come from an area, Western science is just like, nope, that's just local native superstition. It doesn't exist. Yet time and time again, they've been proven right.
hell, dude, the freaking the Nat Geo, right? National Geographic, the Smithsonian, and the British Museum or British whatever, right? They're so quick to say definitively, hey, we're right. Nobody look into this. That it's like there's so many things that like very well could be still out there that we've just been told don't exist anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't know how they can be absolutely certain something is extinct. I mean, they can say we haven't seen one in 50 years, we haven't seen one in 100 years, but just I've never seen. I've been swimming in the ocean, and I've never seen a shark. That doesn't mean they're not out there.
Untrue. We did see that reef shark.
Oh, that is true. I forgot. Okay, we saw a reef
We
shark.
did indeed see a reef shark, but he wasn't
I-
a threat. That was a reef shark.
I was
He didn't
out.
care.
I was out in the Atlantic where I was standing on my tiptoes in water this deep. If there'd been a great white near me, well, considering how murky the water is, I probably never would have seen it. But I could have been within feet of a great white and never seen it. But I never saw any big sharks. That reef shark wasn't very big. But there was one point when something touched my leg and I practically walked on water getting back to shore. But that's a whole other story.
He also
But-
got grabbed by a crab, but it was really funny.
Yeah, that damn thing pinched the shit out of my foot. But
That's the
yeah, go ahead, Robbie.
well, I was gonna say that's the point. I mean, there is no definitive way to say that a lot of things are extinct that they say are extinct, because
we have not seen literally every square inch on this planet.
we would have had to literally cover every square inch of this planet from top to bottom, basically, including, the depths of the ocean. There's no way that you can say this stuff is 100% extinct.
Right.
Just,
Robert D's got a good point. He said, this topic, Bigfoot, most people say it's not real, are the same people that never go out in the woods. How the hell would they even know? Well, they were, like I mentioned earlier, they were reporting that the ivory-billed woodpecker has been extinct for like the last 50 to 100 years. Yet they're seeing them all the time in Arkansas now. So they weren't extinct. They were just way out in the deep woods and staying the hell away from us.
Well, the problem is you get most of these people that do this are these, and this is nothing against people who go to school and get their degrees. I've got a 4-year degree, but a lot of these people that get their PhDs and they sit in a lab their entire career and want to sit and tell us normal people, us peasants, however you want to look at it, that they're smarter than us and they know because they've got these PhDs. That
They know better than us.
Yeah.
Right.
And, it's kind of like, it's almost like the Quint and Hooper dynamic in Jaws.
Yeah. Well, when I was 15 years old, my cousin John and I were coon hunting, and a black panther killed one of the coon dogs. We saw it happen. We, of course, we weren't carrying. We were armed to hunt raccoons. We didn't have anything to do much more than piss off, 170, 180 pound freaking black panther. But we chased it off. I fired a couple rounds in the air. We were throwing stuff at it, but it had killed the dog. Well, we ended up putting the dog down. The dog, it had more out intestines than intestines. It had ripped this dog open. So we had to shoot the dog and kill it. Because there's no way we were getting it to a vet. It was blood everywhere. That poor dog, it was just an incredible amount of pain. But then we reported it to Missouri Department of Conservation, and they told us to our face we didn't see what we saw. Like, there's no black panthers. You just saw a regular mountain lion. We're like, no, it looked like a mountain lion, but it was completely black. No, you were just scared. No, we weren't. We were trying to get it to quit killing the dog. And Brainstorm says, did it happen to be a jaguar? No, it looked like a mountain lion. It was just black.
Can mountain lions get was it pantherism?
Melanistic? Yes. Well, it's called being melanistic, and any big cat can get melanism. There are tigers who are black, and when you get close enough to them, you can still see the stripes, but the tiger itself is black. There have been black lions. Any species of big cat can get melanism, but it's genetically it's rare. But apparently it's starting to breed true, because there are reports of here in Missouri of black panther mothers with litters of black panther cubs. David By says, my mom saw one in Mound Valley, Kansas, and I knew several people growing up that had seen them. Yeah, I know a lot of people that have seen black panthers here in Missouri, and of course, the Missouri Department of Conservation just vehemently denies they exist, despite hundreds of people having seen them and them being caught on game cameras. Robert D says same thing about white animals too, but the thing about it is melanistic white animals with albinism, they have no problem admitting those exist, and I don't get it. I mean, we see images of albino alligators that are kept in zoos. There was a kid here just outside of Springfield. What was it, like 3 or 4 years ago? Noah shot that white buck, and people were like up in arms that he'd shot a white one. But really, an albino animal of any species is at a severe disadvantage because most of its natural camouflage is gone.
Well, the reason you don't see a lot of true albinos in nature is because they don't survive long enough for you to see them.
Right. Now, other predators can see them.
Yeah.
They're much easier. They have a much higher chance of being eaten by
I
something.
mean, think about the piebalds. I mean, those are pretty rare, but you see those because they do have some color to them. But to see a true albino in the wild, especially you know, as an adult species,
Mhm.
is, I mean, you got a better chance of winning the lottery most times because they're just not going to survive.
There's even albinos among species of birds, and the weird thing is, corvids, which are your crows, your ravens, blue jays are members of the corvid family, magpies are members of the corvid family. But if you have an albino crow, the other crows will shun it, which is bizarre. And that's a bird species that mates for life.
Yeah. On the topic of deer and all that with albinism and white ungulants, I guess. Have you guys seen the pictures or videos of the all white moose?
I have seen
Oh my god,
several
it is
pictures of all white moose.
so pretty. Oh my god.
Well, they say it's like 1 in every 8 million births of buffalo are born white.
Oh my god.
I can't remember if it's 8 million or it's 1 out of every several million births among buffalo are white, and that's why it's considered a sacred sign to Native Americans when a white buffalo calf is born. But apparently, it's happened several times in the last few years, which I find it just absolutely bizarre.
I didn't know that was a thing, and they're adorable.
Charles Bronson didn't think it was too good.
Don't pet the fluffy cows.
You know it, DA?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there.
He played Buffalo Bill Cody in that movie, right?
Yeah. Which movie was it? I'm trying to remember the name of the movie.
I think it was called The White Buffalo.
I think it was.
Have you guys ever seen a blue lobster?
Yes, I've seen pictures of blue lobsters.
That's really cool. It's apparently like mega rare, like 1 in a very large number.
Jed Arcega says, I remember that Charles Bronson movie, great movie, The White Buffalo. That's a good movie.
Yep. Not Ken.
Not Ken.
Not Ken.
Dude, it's coming up on the 2-hour mark already. It sounds like it quit raining, though.
Oh, no, I can still hear it.
Oh, well. I don't hear it.
I'm hearing it ping off of the air conditioner, which is right outside my room.
Yeah, that's right out. That's right outside your room. Eric Testerman says Robert Yep in the late 90s. We fought them about our livestock being killed here. They blamed it on a pack of bull mastiffs. Yeah, so they always blame it on big dogs, and it's rarely the dogs. Robert D says he can't hear it now either. Jed Arcega says, I heard there have been some sightings of moa in remote parts of New Zealand. What's a moa?
It's an extinct bird.
Oh, okay.
It's like a...
I think that's
almost.
Isn't that like, well, the actual animal? But I think there's like a deity attached to that somehow or another.
I'm gonna Google it.
I think, unless I'm just thinking.
Yeah, they're like it's a big bird that kind of looks like an ostrich.
Yeah, they're like a big ass ostrich. They dwarf humans.
Yeah, elephant bird.
What was that? There was another one, the terror bird. I don't know if there have been any recent sightings of that, but I remember hearing somebody claim they saw one. But I think basically what they saw was probably a cassowary, but they reported it as a terror bird sighting, and that would be a terrifying thought of a freaking 8, 9, 10 foot tall predatory bird that could run faster than most cars.
Well, I reckon what they saw was probably a shoebill, because
Maybe.
shoebills look really
Shoebills
similar
are kind
to
of terrifying.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely haunting, but shoebills are pretty similar looking to the terror bird.
Yeah, I would not want to run into a terror bird in real life. They can chew you up and spit you out. I don't know. Do you boys think of any others? Well, we mentioned the dire wolf. There are lots of sightings of what they call oversized wolves.
Not an animal, but something that was reported extinct, but apparently someone has found some. This is something I was reading up about the other day. The North American banana.
North American banana?
Mm-hmm.
A plant?
Mm-hmm. The North American banana was reported extinct in the 1920s. We imported bananas to plant here, and that's why banana candies taste so weird, right? Because they imitate the original banana flavor to North America. That's why banana candies taste so funky, because it's like, this isn't banana, because we're so used to these bananas that have been cultivated to grow here. But apparently somebody found an actual like North American banana like just recently, and they're like, what is this? And everyone was like, I mean, it's a banana, dog. I don't know what to tell you. And he like had he like sent it in and was like, hey, like, I don't recognize this. Like, you can't buy this from a store. It's not a plantain. What the hell is this? And they're like, that's a North American banana. Where the hell did you find this?
Tracy said, what are y'all's thoughts on the videos and reports of pterodactyls? Well, some of the more remote tribes in Papua New Guinea report what they refer to as these bizarre birds, and it turns out the descriptions that they showed were pterodactyls. And when you talk about some of the thunderbird sightings out in the Four Corners region of New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado, there are reports out of that area of thunderbirds that are described as being very much like a giant pterodactyl. So, yeah, is it possible some of these things still exist? Yeah, it's entirely possible. I mean, you get out in those areas of New Mexico, and there's a lot of desert out there with not a lot of people in them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of mesas and mountains for those things to hide in. I really would hope that the Smilodon was extinct on the North American continent, because I would not want to run into one of those big monsters out in the woods. I don't think I've got anything that would hurt it. I really don't. Or hurt it enough to get away.
Like most cats, I would assume that it probably has a soft spot in the center of its head.
Maybe. 3D Havoc says, you guys watch that dire wolf caught on camera video where the guys got barking and running from it? You mean the one where you see the dog run out there and you see this giant black freaking wolf, and it's like a normal size husky that's running out to bark at it, and when that thing gets up, it's like 3 times the size of this husky?
I hadn't seen that one.
That is a creepy video. I'll see if I can find it. This guy's in his yard filming his husky running out toward they thought was just a wolf, and it was crouched down on the grass, and the husky's like running at it like it's playing, and when he gets close to it, this thing gets up, and huskies weigh 70, 80 pounds, and most wolves, timber wolves can get up close to 200 pounds. That's a big animal. When this thing gets up, it's like a chihuahua running after a Great Dane. It just dwarfs this full-grown husky, and it's completely black, and it's freaking huge. The thing probably had to weigh 400 pounds. Robert D says, I've got a gun on me at all times in our woods now. Dude, I don't check my mail without a gun on anymore. Dees says, hey, DA, did they ever get conclusive proof in Africa on that dinosaur, the tribe that have seen it? I don't know that they've ever got what you would call conclusive proof, or if they did, they never came forward with it. But
They
there's still
found
stories. There's still stories of the Mekele Mbembe being reported even today.
they've found some weird things out there that everyone just attributes to the Mbembe as well, including tracks that don't match anything and clearly weren't made by a vehicle and stuff like that.
Mark Napier says, "Didn't that husky have a nope moment when it stood up?" Yeah, the husky turned around and shagged ass. Tracy says, "I can't imagine the actual size of that wolf." Well, this was a good sized, full grown, like sled dog size husky. And when that wolf got up, the wolf was past the dog, and we're like 30, 40 yards on the other side of the dog. And you can see the dog in the foreground. And when that thing stands up even farther away, it just massively dwarfs this dog. So that thing had to be, 400 or 500 pounds. I wonder if I can find that video. Oh, I don't know if I can get permission to. What do you think, Noah? Can I show the video?
I wouldn't risk it.
The
But
video is
don't
less than a minute long.
He's saying, don't risk it for the biscuit.
Right.
Yeah, it may just be something we want to just like link out, because if it's somebody
Okay.
else's content, then I guess technically you would classify as like reaction content if we're sitting here and like dissecting it.
I just posted the link to the chat in the chat to the video, and the video is only about 50 seconds long, but you can see when this dog gets close to that the black wolf is easily 3 times the size of that dog, and that is a good sized dog.
But yeah,
It
man,
just
like
freaking dwarfs that dog.
absolutely.
Holy shit snacks, to quote Doc.
I absolutely think that there's.
Good God.
That is a big ass dog. Holy shit. Oh my God.
Look how much bigger that wolf is than that dog. And that dog, now that I'm looking at the video, that dog's probably every bit of 100, 120 pounds. That is a big dog.
That is a big old dog, and that wolf
But that wolf
it.
just dwarfs it.
Woo.
Yeah, David Neal says that wolf is massive. Yeah. Yeah, that thing is freaking huge. Pyromedic says Steve Isdall said that was just a big northern wolf. That would be a really big damn wolf. I've seen timber wolves up close. I've never seen a timber wolf that big. Mark Napier says that ain't a wolf, it's a horse. Yeah, you could about throw a saddle on that thing and ride it.
Got much bigger, you could.
Ed Peak says, "Hey everyone, I've been busy working overtime tonight. Training day. I'll watch the replay later." Hey man, thank you just for showing up and being part of the DAX Machina Nation. We're happy to have you.
Hey, listen, man. If dire wolves come back, I'm gonna ride one. I'm not.
I don't know if they're big enough for you to ride one.
I'm retiring. I'm retiring. I'm retiring the license.
But I can tell you, I would love to have one as a pet.
Well, I tell you, Xander, like our big old English Mastiff, like
he was about $180 in his prime.
He wouldn't walk around with me on him, that dog was strong enough to where if he wanted me out of the way, he could push me out of the way.
Oh, he used to hip check me out of the way all the time.
Or
if he wanted to get someplace, he'd just thump into you and knock you out of the way.
Or he'd sit there and stare at you and then lower his head and stare at you. And if you still didn't move, he'd go.
When you boys were little and he was only like 1 or 2 years old, he used to carry you guys around the living room all the time.
Oh yeah. Coda did too.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's a big old wolf. But
D says a good male gray wolf will tip the scales at over 160 pounds easy. Well, if you look at that video that I just posted and look at the comparison, I'm guessing that dog is probably in the ballpark of 100, 110 pounds. But when that wolf stands up, it just freaking dwarfs that dog.
That's a pretty big wolf. I don't know that it's evidence of a dire wolf, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know if I call it a dire wolf, but it's probably in the 3 to 400 pound range.
I'd call it a damn big wolf.
That's a big boy. That is a big old boy, and I want to pet him.
And I'm sure
that last words were, "Who's your good boy? Who's your good boy?"
And I'm sure that dog would have been in a dire consequence if it hadn't turned around and beat feet back the other way.
Boys, we're over the 2 hour mark,
and I can still hear thunder, so we may want to wrap this.
Yeah, the storms are supposed to get worse after 10 o'clock. Maybe we should go ahead and discuss our affiliate programs and start winding things down, because I don't want to push my luck. The longer we get into that storm, the worse we're likely to get. As that's saying, expect severe thunderstorms tonight.
Yeah,
and it hit earlier than I thought.
Well, the thing is, we got hit by a cell, but we didn't get hit with all of it yet. Like I'm looking at the Doppler radar right now, and it's like, hey, you've got a big storm coming.
Don Donaldson says, my Roddy is 165 pounds. That wolf is at least 400 to 500 pounds. That's what I'm thinking. That wolf is just freaking massive.
Yeah, it's getting far worse than what's already hit us.
443 Big Vic says, thanks, DA. Now I'll be investing in a portable air compressor or dog whistles.
What you got to do is, if you're going out in the woods and you think you're going to run into something like that, keep a cooler with a nice, juicy steak in it. You see that thing, you throw that steak as hard as you can the other way and run.
Sarah Johnson says, it's a scary thought to think a dogman can come from that. Yeah. And not a huge leap of the imagination either. I know Doc couldn't be with us tonight, and again, we know why. Doc couldn't make it because he lost Ranger today. But since Doc couldn't be here, we'll let Doc himself tell you guys about Scallywag Tactical. Here's a message from Doc himself.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DA Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
I know, Robbie, I said the wrong thing. I'm pretty bad about that. But folks, go over to Dark Angel Medical and check them out. If you're going to be out in the woods doing anything cryptid related or hunting, fishing, backpacking, camping, if you're away from basic 911 services, you really need to have a first aid kit. And Dark Angel has some of the best kits I've ever used. I carried one throughout my law enforcement career, and I still keep one in the car today. And if I go to the range, I've got at least one kit, maybe two on me. But if you go to darkangelmedical.com, use the discount code cryptid25 for 25% off your entire order. And in the notes, if you put Team Odin or codename Wild Hunt, he'll even throw in a Team Odin rocker for your patch, for the patch that goes on your kit. So, check them out. And again, keep Doc in your prayers tonight. Doc's having kind of a rough time. But now that I called it Scallywag, Robbie, you want to tell us a little bit about Scallywag Tactical?
Sure thing. Scallywag Tactical, another veteran-owned company that we support and is an affiliate of us. If you've read the books, which you should have, if not, read them. Most all these knives are featured in the books in some way or the other. DA's got the Dew Claw right there. This the Jolly Roger. Noah's got a Transformer and another Jolly Roger. Great knives. The Bounty and the Gunner's Mate are two really heavily featured knives in the books. You just can't, for the money, you cannot find a better knife than you're going to get there. As far as going out and buying just a regular folder or fixed blade or something like that.
You know, one of these nights, just for a joke, I should bring the whole kitchen set in here.
You should. Those are beautiful knives.
We talk about them all the time, and we've never shown them, so that might not be a bad idea to do that sometime.
That set of kitchen knives, the best set of kitchen knives I've ever owned in my life.
Big time.
I'm
going to have to get one of those anti-cut gloves because you can almost cut yourself looking at them bastards.
Yeah, they are wicked sharp.
You can cut yourself with this one if you drop it and try to catch it.
I've taken one of those. I've taken one of the chef's knife from the cooking set and taken a tomato and just very lightly went across it and took a slice off that tomato so then I could read through it.
So
that is not an exaggeration.
And the good thing about it is they've got a section called Blemish Blades, which I'd say probably about 95% of the time is nothing wrong with the knife. It's just the box. You know, the box.
I got this off the Blemish Blades.
Yeah, of all the knives.
Blade.
So was this one. Of all the knives that we've shown up here, DA's got one that's got a very small little blemish on the actual blade itself, but it does not stop
this
the
one right
functionality
here.
of the knife.
It has a little scratch right down here.
It does nothing for the functionality of the knife. I mean, that doesn't change it at all. But anyway, you go to the Blemish Blades, find you a couple of good deals on blades. When you go to checkout, hit code DA Roberts 10, give yourself another 10% off the already good price you're going to get on the Blemish Blades. Now, you never know what you're going to get in the Blemish Blade section because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
but
it changes constantly.
Yep. But they've got good stuff in the other sections too. Just go check them out. Hit up the Blemish Blade section, get you a couple of good folders and some. Every once in a while, you find a fixed blade on there. I think I heard somebody one time got a gunner's mate off there pretty cheap.
Yeah, they had the gunner's mate on there for less than half price.
Yeah,
I would just check back periodically because they're always adding and taking things off the Blemish Blade list.
Yep. So really good company, really good shipping. You can pay through Venmo if you got Venmo. I paid for this knife on a Saturday night. By Tuesday, it was in my hand. So go check them out at Scallywag Tactical. Tell them we sent you.
Definitely tell them we sent you. And use discount code DA Roberts 10 for 10% off your entire order. Sorry, I had some coffee grounds in my mouth from that mouthful of coffee. Our other affiliate is Ken Brock over at brockblades.com. And while yes, Brock Blades makes knives, and so does Scallywag. Scallywag blades are they're mass-produced blades. They're high-quality knives. They're fantastic knives. But if you buy two gunner's mates and put them side by side, they're identical. If you buy two of the Jolly Rogers and lay them side by side, they're identical. Every blade Ken makes is one of a kind. They're hand forged. The blades are, this one's made of titanium, but each blade is hand forged. The handles are handcrafted from pieces of whatever material he's using. It varies from blade to blade, and you can order a custom blade on there to whatever specifications of blade length and things like that you want. He has plenty of knives available at brockblades.com that you can just order that have already been made. But you can also, have a custom order made for somebody that is a first responder or veteran or active military or outdoorsman, because the gift of a custom blade is something that'll be treasured. And you can customize every detail of the blade. Just fantastic works of art. They hold an edge like nobody's business. They're wicked sharp, and he's got so many different ones to choose from. I'm sure you're going to find something you like. I liked his blade so much. That's why I had Will Grey Eagle carry the Ardennes. And that's the only Bowie size knife he makes. And I'm looking forward to getting my Ardennes. I'm going to hopefully get that before too awful long. But anyway, brockblades.com, check him out. And he's a career cop, first responder, and all of our affiliates are either veteran-owned or first responder-owned businesses, which we're all about supporting here on the channel. Go to brockblades.com, place your order. Use discount code cryptid10 for 10% off your order. Or if you're ordering a custom blade, make sure you mention that you heard about brockblades.com through here at DAX Machina, and he will still give you the full 10% off on your order. So definitely check those out. Go over to brockblades.com and let them know we sent you. Boys, we are at 2 hours and 10 minutes. I do want to take a moment to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and we've talked about that quite a few times, and that's, well, if you guys are familiar with the show at all, it's the 22 a Day Foundation. It's something that's it's very, very personal to me. I've been, as a career cop and served in the military, I've seen a lot of friends buried under a flag, and we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that's not even counting first responders, corrections, law enforcement, EMS. For all first responders have a very high suicide rate. That's because these folks see things that a lot of times the human mind is just not meant to comprehend. They see horrors on a daily basis that would curl your toes and send most people running off the deep end, and they see it routinely all the time. So if you've got a friend or a family member or someone you care about that is a first responder or a veteran or active member of the military in any capacity, or any type of first responder, be that law enforcement, firefighter, EMT, medical responders, corrections, security, check on these folks. Let them know you're thinking about them, because that one message you send them, even if it's just, hey, I was thinking about you, how are you doing? Or, hey, I'm going fishing this weekend, would you like to go? You never know when that one little text is what keeps them off the edge. Folks, we lose 22 a day, and that is 22 too many. Let's get that number down to 0. So, show some love to the 22 a Day Foundation and the Valhalla Project, because these are charities that truly do make a difference in veterans' lives. And again, that is something that's very near and dear to my heart. Something else we've kind of started doing on the show, and I probably need to pour myself something here. Noah, grab yourself a glass.
Oh, I still have my glass, sir.
I'm not toasting with coffee. I'm going to have to pour myself a touch of the Irish.
Yeah, I don't intend on raising a tumbler full of tea. I think we're both getting into Irish.
Yeah. I've got a glass of that Sons of Aaron. Really good. This one, as you guys know from what I mentioned on Wednesday night, I recently lost my Aunt Violet. She was the last of my mother's sisters. She'd been struggling with Alzheimer's for a long time, and we just lost her a few days ago. Her funeral's this coming Thursday. I don't know why it got delayed so long, but it'll be this coming Thursday, and I coming Wednesday night, I might be struggling a little bit, so I'll do my best. But also, think about, say a prayer for Toombs and his wife's continued health. They're getting better. She's not back with us yet. We can't wait for her to be back. Toombs is back tonight. They've been struggling with, the Black Plague of the 21st century. It hit them pretty hard. So, pray for their speedy recovery. Pray for Doc. Doc lost Ranger today. And any of you all that have had a dog that means the world to you, you know exactly what he's going through. Or a pet, any pet of any cat, cat, dog. If you've had a animal that touched your life the way Ranger touched Doc's, you know exactly what he's going through. So Doc's struggling, and our thoughts and prayers are with him. And say a prayer for Steve too. Steve's dealing with an upper respiratory infection, and and some other issues. So we'll keep him in our prayers as well. But there's an old Irish song that I'm very partial to. You guys have heard me mention it before, I'm sure. But if you're new to the show, just kind of bear with me for a second. The song is called "The Parting Glass," and on the surface, when you look at the lyrics to the song, it's like they're talking about somebody going home at the end of the night when the bar is closed. But when you listen to the song and the intent and the lyrics and understand, they're not just talking about lifting a glass at the end of the night and going home. They're talking about lifting a glass for those who aren't there to lift that glass with you anymore. They're lifting a glass for the ones they've lost. And tonight we're lifting our glass for my Aunt Violet and for Ranger and for Doc and his family, the one going through their suffering, and all those that have given the ultimate sacrifice so that we can be safe and free. All the men and women in uniform, every uniform, be that military, first responder, any uniform, that have put it all on the line for us, and we owe a debt we can never repay. And I just want to personally thank each and every one of men and women that have put on a uniform to keep us safe and keep us free. And also lift that glass for the memory of those we've lost, the brothers and sisters and loved ones we've all lost along the way. So, in the words of the parting glass, but since it fell unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night, and joy be to you all. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.